It started with Arman Tsarukyan is backup for UFC 317 main events. Earlier today, Arman revealed on his social media that he is the official backup for Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video to help support the channel. A fan asked Arman for his next opponent, to which he responded with, "I'm the backup for UFC 317. While we're talking about Arman Tsarukyan, it was revealed that he and Tony Ferguson will be the new hosts for hype fighting shows in Thailand this summer. Caio Borralho predicts Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat Chimaev is the betting line's favorite to end the reign of Dricus du Plessis at UFC 319. After all, the majority of fighters have failed to make it out of the second round against Boers, much less defeat him. But similar to what many others are saying, Caio Borralho is not counting the middleweight champion out. Du Plessis is booked to fight the Chechen smashing machine at the August 16th event in what will be DDP's third fight since winning the middleweight crown. Recently, Bloody Elbow caught up with Borralho at a dirty boxing card. Here's what he had to say when asked to weigh in on the DDP Chimaev fight. "It's a crazy fight cause you can go to Khamzat in the first or second round. But if you go past these rounds, it can go to du Plessis because I'm never going to doubt du Plessis again. You know, he always shut my mouth. So let's see." This does seem to be the consensus. The longer the fight goes, the more it will favor the South African champion. But what do you think? Do you see DDP making it out of the first and second rounds and defending the middleweight title against Boers? Joaquin Buckley breaks silence on his UFC loss. Yesterday, Buckley released a statement on his social media and a video after his loss to Kamaru Usman over the weekend. Here's what Buckley had to say. "What up, y'all? It's your boy Joaquin Massa Buckley. Look, Atlanta was good to us, baby. We done sold out the arena. It was a major, opportunity for me to go out there and show up and show out. And I truly believe I did that, especially in the fifth round. We had Usman, backing up, trying to get those takedowns, but we stuffed everyone. But don't get it twisted, man. Even though my hand was not raised, I still feel victorious. But still, shout out to Kamaru Usman, man. You are truly a legend. You are truly a GOAT, man. Thank you for the opportunity, for allowing me to, be able to step into the octagon with you, bro, and grace me with your presence. But I just really wanted to say, man, thank you, Atlanta, for popping out, man, and really selling out and being an amazing crowd. Because with that energy, man, and with that love, I truly believe, man, we can go into another main event, man, and really show up and show out. But look, with that being said, I didn't win. I didn't get my hand raised, you know what I mean? But that's all good. This gives me time to take a break, man, and really kind of work on some tools and work on some things that we got to work on. Because, yet again, y'all going to know what this team is, what we dealt with, through that fight. I really feel like, man, we was up against the world, but I feel like we did a great job, Yet again, we had a big name like Kamaru Usman, man. My coach going up against Trevin Whitney, Havoc, Francis Ngannou, you know what I'm saying? Washington, right? Like, it was a lot of pressure that was on us that night, but I truly feel privileged that I was out there still being able to put some worries on that boy, had them boys sweating. So it just shows us, man, what our real capabilities are. But I truly, truly believe that we just going to take this time, man, and really just get better, and we're going to come back even stronger. So y'all do what y'all do. Welterweight division, y'all hold it down. But Butt won't be back, man, sooner or later. Rodolfo Bellato breaks silence on fake knockout. Heading into UFC Atlanta, Rodolfo Bellato was widely considered to be a rising commodity in the light heavyweight division. But after what went down in his fight with Paul Craig, he's taking some serious heat, some of which is coming from Anthony Smith. If you watched the fight or saw highlights, you know that Bellato was hit with an illegal upkick from Craig while the latter was on his back. Bellato appeared to be okay for a moment since he turned to the referee to protest the foul. But how the fighter acted from that point on is why some were saying that he should be nominated for an Oscar. During the post-fight show on ESPN, Lionheart let it be known he wasn't buying Bellato's act. It was a great fight up until the way that it ended all weird. Paul Craig was really forcing the takedowns. He ends up shooting the takedown, pulls guard, the round ends, and he throws an upkick while Bellato, he has a knee down. So that's an illegal strike. I'm going to be hard here. I'm going to be hard on Bellato. As the upkick happens, he looks to the referee to see if the referee realized that was illegal. He looks right to him. You see his eyes came to the referee to protest and then realizes maybe I can get a free win. Lays there, pretends he's unconscious, jolts back awake allegedly. Referee comes over. That is a man who's awake awake, pretends to grapple the referee as if he's unconscious, trying to get a cheap win. I've been doing this a long time and I know what it looks like when somebody's faking it. And not surprisingly, the internet was quick to start piling on Bellato as well, following the no contest fight. Here were some of the reactions. How is that illegal with the rule change? He had 1 foot down and 1 knee down when the kick hit. I don't get it. Someone proceeded to point out that the rule change applies to hands on the mat, not knees. Here were some more reactions. His brain glitched or something. Craziest ever. Up kicks to the head should be legal. It's happening way too fast. He was faking it. Look at how he looks in the eyes. He wasn't out. Bro pulled an Emmy. Man, sure seems like Bellato was acting. Looking at the ref, closing his eyes and falling. Then the weird wake up. I'd hesitate to give him another fight after that. LeBron James of the UFC. And then this observer referenced the iconic Toy Story film while taking a poke at Bellato as well. And he's home. It'll be interesting to see what Bellato says about what transpired and why he apparently fell unconscious moments after the foul. Then, late last night, Rodolfo Bellato broke silence on the moment on his Instagram. He said the following: "I saw some things on the internet saying I was an actor there and stuff. The moment I was on the ground, I didn't expect to get kicked in the face illegally. It was a strong kick. When I looked at the judge to complain, my whole body began to tingle and my vision disappeared. After that, I don't remember anything. Anyone who has known me the longest knows I would never do this. I've never run from war. I hit 2x in less than 30 days. 2 trips in a row. Why would I fake something after all I've been through? And on top of that, winning the first round in the end." What are your thoughts on the situation? Let us know in the comments below. Umar Nurmagomedov talks about Merab fight and wants a rematch. As his video is being produced, Merab Dvalishvili doesn't have his next fight officially signed, but it certainly sounds like Umar Nurmagomedov would be willing to battle the bantamweight champion again. Nurmagomedov challenged Dvalishvili this past January in what was Merab's first fight since he took the bantamweight crown from Sean O'Malley in September. Nurmagomedov started strong, but ultimately lost to the machine via unanimous decision. More recently, the Dagestani star sat down with Adam Zubadayev. Here was some of what he had to say in Russian about the memorable fight. "I went into my last fight with an injured hand. This is not an excuse. I lost and that's that. It was Allah's will for me and I accept it. I rewatched the fight, the 3rd and 4th rounds. I gave those up. I lost them. It's clear." It was also reported after UFC 311 that Merab broke his hand not long into the fight. So you gotta wonder how it would have played out if that didn't happen. That said, Dvalishvili also reported that his training camp was significantly impacted by injuries. Umar also had this to say about the bantamweight king and his abilities: "I've hit Merab clean myself. He didn't even flinch. Tough guy. He's really hard to knock out. He's got cardio for days, and he's just got brute strength. It's not like he's got advanced grappling skills or submissions. He can't even hold people down properly. He just overwhelms." Now, all signs point to Dvalishvili fighting Corey Sandhagen next. Sandhagen was on hand at UFC 316, and the broadcast went out of its way to promote that matchup. But TJ Dillashaw recently proposed that Merab finally face his close buddy, Aljamain Sterling. While appearing on the Jackson podcast, Dillashaw had this to say: "I wanted to see Merab and Sterling fight. They could make so much money. I understand that they're best friends, but you're getting paid. Who gives a Sterling should come back down. You're here to get paid. I don't know." I think it'd be an awesome story. Well, it would be super intriguing to see how the fight plays out. But as long as Merab and Aljo are besties, it seems pretty clear they're not fighting. Eric Nixick reveals conversation with Francis Ngannou about UFC comments. Recently, the MMA world was buzzed by multiple headlines that Francis Ngannou is interested in returning to the UFC, and then comments from John Jones welcoming that news. But as Ngannou's coach Eric Nixick recently pointed out, a lot of those headlines were skewed to generate clicks rather than report facts. All the drama started when Nixick relayed in an interview with Homa Fight that he thought Ngannou could be interested in returning to the UFC at some point. But the comments were widely reported as Ngannou having said that he wants to come back to the UFC, like right away. That led to Jones making it clear that he's more interested in a super fight with Ngannou than one with Aspinall. So in a follow-up interview with MMA Fighting, Nixick talked about how his original comments were taken out of context. It was kind of a question with fandom, like what scenarios would be great. Of course, I'm always gonna say Francis and John are the best competition out there, so Francis texts me like one of those like, just a clickbait headline article, and he's like, "Bubba, did you say this?" I'm like, "No." It was like basically, Francis Ngannou wants back in the UFC, that's all. I'm like, bro, what kind of non-journalistic post was this, dude? It was crazy. But yeah, we had a laugh about it because Francis and I are actually on the phone talking about some other stuff, and then he's like, "Oh, look, Jones just tweeted," so we're kind of laughing about it. Of course, there's no doubt that everyone wants to see Ngannou and Jones fight. Ngannou is still under contract with the PFL though. Further, UFC bossman Dana White has claimed that he never wants to work with Ngannou again. All that aside, Francis was on hand at UFC Atlanta this past weekend, supporting his friend Kamaru Usman. Could Ngannou have talked to any UFC brass behind the scenes? UFC updates. Let's take a look at some UFC and fight updates. Recently, Front Kick Online was the first to report that Peyton Talbot is going to battle Felipe Lima in a featherweight fight at UFC 317 on June 28th. Talbot is coming off his first pro loss, as Raoni Barcelos handed him a unanimous decision loss in January. The 26-year-old had won all 9 of his pro bouts before that. Lima, meanwhile, is coming off a UD victory over Miles Johns in December, which extended his winning streak to 14. And recently, Real Kevin K reshared that Andreas Gustafsson is reporting he'll be back in action soon. Bain is coming off a unanimous decision win over Chaos Williams at UFC 316 earlier this month. After having multiple fights and opponents fall through, the 34-year-old has now won 4 in a row. And following Chris Moutinho's KO loss to Malcolm Wellmaker at UFC Atlanta, the fighter posted a statement via social media. Moutinho was returning to the octagon for the first time since 2022. Leading up to the fight on Saturday, the bantamweight talked about how he went to a very dark place following his loss to Guido Canetti, which resulted in his UFC release. Here is some of what Moutinho had to say in his post-fight statement. So that blew, another wasted opportunity, another failure to execute, but it is what it is. God is still good, has given everything good in my life, and has blessed me with the chance. Thank everyone that got me here. If you're wondering, Moutinho was riding a 5-fight winning streak prior to facing Wellmaker. UFC fighter reveals sad news on health. Not only did Miranda Maverick have her 4-fight winning streak ended at UFC Atlanta, but it also sounds like the flyweight contender will be sidelined for quite a while. Maverick faced former strawweight champ Rose Namajunas in the co-headliner and lost the fight by a unanimous decision. Following the event, however, the 27-year-old reported via social media that she incurred a serious knee injury in the second round. Not the result I wanted, but I fought with what I had. My ACL was torn in a second round. I'll have to rewatch to know exactly when, but I think it was during a takedown exchange. I never got dropped, but I was unstable on my legs, so as soon as I got hit in the third round, my leg buckled. I'm blessed I was able to make it to the end of the fight, and I'm honored that I got to share the cage with the legend Rose Namajunas. I'll take this layoff in stride, and you will see me again. But for now, time to recover and figure some things out. Hopefully, Maverick has a full and speedy recovery. Heading into this weekend's action, Maverick was ranked number 11 in the UFC's flyweight division. Islam Makhachev still interested in lightweight division. It wasn't long ago that Islam Makhachev insisted he wouldn't be vacating the UFC's lightweight crown as part of his welterweight championship aspirations. So when that happened, more than a few eyebrows were raised. Well, more recently, his teammate Umar Nurmagomedov shared some very interesting details on how all of that came about. For a long time, Makhachev talked about his wish to move up to welterweight to pursue another division's title. Once his friend and teammate Belal Muhammad lost the belt at UFC 315, the door opened to that possibility. Islam, however, said that he would not be dropping the lightweight title, so when it was announced that Ilia Topuria and Charles Oliveira were going to fight for the vacated lightweight belt at UFC 317, it generated a fair bit of speculation about what transpired. Well, since then, Nurmagomedov spoke with Adam Zubarayev. According to translations provided, here's some of what the bantamweight contender had to say about what went down with the UFC. They wanted Islam to move up. They wanted to make Topuria the champ at 155. Islam doesn't want to vacate. He had no plans to vacate. He still wants to fight at 155 too. Umar also reported the following while discussing Hunter Campbell's trip to Dagestan to meet with Makhachev. Hunter came to see Islam, and they wanted Islam to move up. They want to make Topuria the champ at 155. They believe he can really sell fights. Islam doesn't want to give up his belt. He wants to fight at 155 too. Islam can take the 170 title, then return to 155 and hold both belts. So it goes without saying, this is pretty fascinating to hear, if indeed this is accurate. If Makhachev does beat Jack Della Maddalena to win the welterweight title, do you see the UFC letting him try to become a champ? Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena targeted for UFC 321. During a recent episode of the Pound for Pound show, Henry Cejudo confirmed that Islam Makhachev versus JDM will happen on October 20th this year, with the location still unknown at this time. In October, we have both UFC 320 and 321 as possible events. But if Henry Cejudo's date is correct, then it'll most likely be UFC 321. Here's what Henry had to say. Obviously, we have JDM versus Islam Makhachev. We all know that they're more likely they're going to fight. Their fight's going to take place October 20th. I don't know where the location is going to be, but they're going to fight in October. Clips started circulating online. MMA Junkies Mike Bond said the following. October 20th is a Monday. Would not rule out October 25th, though, which jives with the UFC's annual pay-per-view stop in Abu Dhabi. So it looks like Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena will most likely happen in Abu Dhabi on October 25 later this year. Who do you think will win at UFC 321? Islam Makhachev